Kelsey and welcome to my YouTube channel. I started this channel to share the process of making a self-made wardrobe by my 40th birthday. So we're currently in May 2025 and I turned 39 in April, and I thought it would be fun to spend the next year working to refine my personal style and self-make a wardrobe by my 40th birthday. I was inspired to start this channel for just a sense of accountability. I've wanted to make myself a wardrobe for years, but I never got organized with it. And I thought by starting a YouTube channel, it would help keep me focused on what the ultimate goal is and hopefully inspire others to take up sewing or knitting. The timeline is just the next year, and I've kind of set out a guideline for what I'd like to create, and it's really just a handful of words that I want to kind of make sure that every piece and every outfit I work on sort of fits into the framework. So some of the main ideas that came up were timeless, practical, and comfortable. So I live a pretty casual lifestyle and I want my clothes to feel really comfortable. I want them to fit what I do in my life, and I also want them to be timeless. I want to create like quality basics and quality pieces that I can take care of over years and just like really cherish. So I think timeless colors, timeless silhouettes is probably where I'll focus. A few other words that came up were casual but elevated, considered, so just really intentional, which is a part of what this YouTube channel I think will help me do, and refined and feminine. So I think because my life is so casual, I don't always spend time kind of putting myself together and feeling good in what I'm wearing. Yeah, I'd like to sort of elevate that and feel a little bit more feminine in my day-to-day life. I thought I would share a little bit about what my life looks like. I live on the west coast of Canada on Vancouver Island, so we do experience all 4 seasons. Currently in my favorite one. It's just such a beautiful time of year. I work part-time as an accountant and I also make ceramics. So in previous years I used to sell in a farmer's market, but I've decided to step back from that and just kind of regroup and think about how I want to show up in my creative practices. I spend a lot of time in the garden, I spend a lot of time in my studio, I spend a lot of time having coffee and lunches with friends, also making trips into the city, and I want a wardrobe that fits how I spend my time. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was just the pieces, and really what's different about this time tackling this project is that I don't actually have a set plan, and I don't want to make a set plan. I want to let the pieces evolve as I learn what works and what doesn't work, what I like, what I feel good in. So rather than focusing on like a capsule where I have, 10 shirts, 3 pants, 2 skirts, I just want to focus on the seasons and what I feel like wearing as the year goes on, and just letting it evolve. Also making for when I will wear it. So instead of making what I want to wear today, especially with knitting because it's a much more time-consuming process, it's looking forward. So for example, right now is May. If I was to knit a sweater, it'd probably be a month or 2 before I could wear it. So what would that look like? Because we'd be in July. So definitely cotton, definitely lightweight, something maybe for the evening. I want to focus on actual outfits that go together, pieces that are versatile and work in a lot of different ways, but also just like have set outfits that are just workhorses in my wardrobe that I know I love, that I know I feel good in. So that kind of leads into just some rules for myself. Number 1 is keeping it fun. I don't want to structure things too much that I feel kind of stuck in it. I want to just go with the flow and not overthink, not over-research projects. I think if you're a maker, you can appreciate that it's easy to spend a lot of time in the ideation phase where you're researching yarns and projects and who's made it and hashtags, and you can spend a lot of time there. So I think I want to act on my ideas and act on my inspiration quickly, and also that there's no such thing as failure. So if these pieces don't actually work, or for some reason I actually don't feel that comfortable in the fabric I've chosen, or the drape's not right, like, not to get hung up on it. You know, let the pieces go, give them to a friend, or give them to the secondhand store. One other thing I have here is just to be ruthless with it. Like, if I don't feel great in it, to let it go and learn from what it is, and not just like hang on to pieces in my wardrobe because, you know, I really liked the fabric or I like the color, but something's not right about it. Yeah, so I guess one other thing that I wanted to say is how I plan to share the process. So I think realistically I could probably share a video once every 3 weeks, and my current idea is just to share where we're at now, what I want to be wearing in a month's time or 3 weeks time, and just spend the next 3 weeks working on it. So I think I'll share outfits that I've made and styling and the patterns and the fabric, but also share sort of what my ideas are for the next video. I thought I'd just share a little bit more about my background with sewing and knitting. So my mom sewed when I was young, so I was around a sewing machine, and I didn't really do much with it other than practice like little embroidery stitches. I mean, this was 20-30 years ago, so I wasn't doing much. And by the time I was 20, I had more interested in it, but I was mostly just focused on like a garment I really wanted this dress, and I didn't always stay the course. You know, I would get started but not finish, and this was just all using my mom's sewing machine. And in my late 20s, I got my own sewing machine and serger and iron and kind of sewing room set up, and I guess I took it more seriously from that point on. I participated in Me Made May for a few years. One year I got really into it. It was like around the time of COVID, and I made a ton of outfits like in a 45-day span, and it was fun, and I made a lot, and I used a lot of colors I wouldn't normally wear, and I still have a lot of these pieces, but they aren't things that I actually want to incorporate into my everyday. So while it was a good chance to update skills and try new things, I think that it wasn't quite as intentional as I'd like to be with this project. Really just, what do I want to wear and how can I make these pieces like the nicest quality? And then there's knitting. So I started knitting about 2 years ago. I just jumped right in and started knitting with sweaters. It's knitting sweaters. It's something I wanted to do for quite some time, but just felt like it was quite daunting. Like, sewing felt easy. You already had the fabric, you just had to cut the pieces out. You could do it in a day. In knitting, there were so many pieces to learn, like which needles to buy, what does gauge mean, all the different types of yarn, why you can't use one yarn or another. So it really took me years to learn that all, and I bought some interchangeable needles and really got into it about 2 years ago, and made myself sweater number 28 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. That was the first kind of project that I made that I really loved, and I still have it, and I take really good care of it. And since then I've made a handful of sweaters. There's probably 5 or 6 different ones, mostly My Favorite Things, but also Petite Knit, and by Kadri was another one. Yeah, I'm currently working on a tank top by My Favorite Things Knitwear. It's the camisole number 10. It's in Knitting for Olive pure silk in the color cream. And I actually already have this tank top, and I made it in the same yarn, but in the cardamom color. And I really loved it, but I did find the armholes were a little bit too deep. Otherwise it was good. And I also found that it was like a really great basic to wear. It looked really great just with jeans or a skirt. So I knew I wanted to make more of them in some really kind of basic colors. So I actually bought yarn to make 3 of them, or 3 tank tops in the pure silk. So I have the cream, I think it's like teddy brown or brown bear, and then, which is very, very dark brown. And then I also got it in powder. So there's sort of like light, medium, and dark scale colors there. Yeah, so I've been knitting for 2 years. I do kind of projects back to back. I tend to just work on one project at a time. It's mostly just sweaters and a few little scarves. I would love to make socks, and I would love to make socks that kind of like fit with certain outfits. Yeah, that's something I'd like to do. Knitting small has never really I've never really caught on to it. I'm not sure if I need to get better with DPNs or if I want to get better with Magic Loop or what I'll do, but definitely like a goal in this project is to make a few pairs of socks. So I think I'll wrap up this video by just sharing what I want my first project to be. I really would love to either make a cotton or linen skirt, probably in a lighter color. I love the look of a billowy white skirt with sneakers and a sweater and like a colorful bag. So definitely a skirt, and I'm thinking I could probably just self-draft a pattern. I think I'd do an elastic waistband. I think the real thing that's going to be important with that project is just finding the perfect fabric. So do I want to use linen? Do I want to use cotton? If I go with white, will it be lined? So the skirt, and then I'd also like to make a sweater. So I'm not sure if I want to do a cardigan or a pullover, but something that I can wear with the skirt, something that's like a little bit oversized or that I could like lightly tuck into the front of the skirt. Definitely cotton, because by the time I'm finished, if it takes me a month or 2, we're in July, so definitely a cotton. I'm thinking about knitting for Olive's cotton merino, and I mostly just gravitate towards that because the color offering is so good, and there's so many different options, and there's something there for me no matter what I'm sort of dreaming up. So some ideas for the pattern is blouse number 1 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. And then kind of completely different would be the Olga sweater by Petite Knit. And I'm leaning a little bit more to the Olga sweater. I think with the skirt, it'll be nice to kind of have something a little bit boxy. While I do think I will make blouse number 1 eventually, I think I'm leaning towards the Olga sweater, and I'm not completely sure which colors I will use. I do have some wheat that a friend used for a project, and she gave me a small ball of it just to use for a swatch or just to see what the color looked like. So I'm pretty sure I want to incorporate the wheat color, but I'm not sure if I want to just go with cream and wheat or wheat in a more punchy color. Yeah, I tend to like to wear neutrals. I tend to like to look at neutrals in my home, but I also want to be considerate of like the time of year, and that, you know, this time of year I do like to see some color, and perhaps this would be it's a striped sweater. It would be a fun way to incorporate a muted color into my wardrobe. And I sort of envision it with just a crossbody bag, and I do have the Bestie bag pattern from Blackbird Fabrics, so I thought about possibly making that in a fun color. Or I have a lot of Bagoo bags that, or a few Bagoo bags that could be incorporated into the outfit. But that and runners and a pair of fun colored socks to go with the outfit is kind of my first project, or first sort of outfit I'd like to put together for this project. Oh, and also a t-shirt for under the sweater. So that's like, if I'm doing the socks and the bag, that's 5 pieces. So I think I'll spend the next week or 2 just really thinking about what fabric I'd like to use, whether or not I have it in my stash, and just getting started on the knitting so that I have something to share in my next video. So this is my first time filming a YouTube video. I don't know if I've missed some important details or anything you'd like to know, so feel free to leave a comment or ask. I hope the sound is being okay. I have, there's always like some sort of construction going on in my neighborhood, so it sounds pretty quiet right now, but I hope you've enjoyed and I look forward to coming back to share more. Take care.